Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Now a few weeks ago I made some content on the Olight Baton series. You have the Baton Pro and the Baton Pro Max. All similar kind of lights but grow and there's different, no actually the functions are the same, but it's size, its lumen levels and its battery capacity. They've just released, I was just trying to think of what I was going to say then for a second, but they have just released the Baton Turbo, which I think really does sit between the Baton and the Baton Pro. So if you're after something that is just a little bit smaller like the Baton, but you're after a little bit more light from that, I think that's where this Baton Turbo steps into the ring as a decent contender, especially for an everyday EDC light. So let's take a closer look. Now, as far as the unboxing is concerned with this light, Olight have been very cagey on the outside. Normally there's just like a few little kind of headline notes, but nope, not with this. You get a look at the light on the front, nice and simple. Now, unboxing this is fairly typical for Olight. You have the light in here, which I'll just put to one side for a second. It does come with a magnetic charging cable that the vast majority, if not all, Olights come with, so that you can charge this. Super easy to use. You also get a small little kind of carry case with this as well. One of the things that I do like, and some of you might correct me if I'm wrong on this, but this might be one of the first Olights that I know of that has one of these sleeves in here. So this works with an 18350 battery, but it does come with a sleeve so that you can use CR123 batteries with this as well, which I think is a nice little option. Now, to quickly go over some of the headline figures for the Baton Turbo, as far as the measurements of this is concerned, it comes in at 81.7 millimeters by 29 millimeters in diameter. Now, that 29 millimeters will definitely be the head here. Hopefully you'll notice that it does have a rather sizable head compared to the rest of the body where the battery is stored. It's made, as a lot of Olight's lights are made from a high-grade aerospace aluminium, which also helps to reduce the weight on this, which comes in at just 91 grams. As far as the battery is concerned, we saw that this charges from the bottom here with one of those magnetic chargers. It will tail stand, and it will also hold its own weight if you need to attach this to something magnetically, so that you can kind of angle it down. Now, when I say angle it down, it's whatever angle there's no sort of way in which you can pose this. You just have to get it at the right angle when you're magnetizing it to something. As far as the battery that is in here, you unscrew the head unit rather than unscrewing the tail cap, which you do with quite a lot of Olight's lights. The light that's in here, the battery that's in here, you have to give a little wee tap, mainly because of the battery that's in, the magnet. I've got magnets and batteries stuck in my head now. The magnet that's in here will kind of hold it in place, so you just have to give it a wee tap and that will drop out. The battery, as I've mentioned, this is an 18350 battery, which is 1100 milliamp hours. I will say with this that this is a proprietary battery. Olight use their own batteries. I've tested a couple of 18350 batteries in here, and unfortunately they don't work. If you want to pick up another one of these, they're reasonably inexpensive, and you can pick them up from Olight. Now, I will say, as far as Olight's concerned, as far as charging, because they have that magnetic charging, it does make it very easy. You can literally just kind of have one on your desk and then just plug it on, and it'll just charge it when you need it. So I've not really found in the past that I've had to worry about secondary batteries from Olight. Now, the last little thing which is good, especially considering this is an outdoors light. Now, they haven't tested the dust rating on this, the dust and water rating. The dust is X, which means that they haven't tested it, but the water rating on this is an 8, which is the highest that you can get for consumer electronics. With the water being as high as it is, I would assume, or I would guess, that the dust rating on this probably would have been a 6 if they tested for that. As far as the construction, it is fairly typical for an Olight. It's available in a few different colours. You have some nice knurling on here so that you can grip onto this. Now I say grip onto this really for the size of this. Really, you know, it's going to fit into your hand. You're just maybe going to get a couple of fingers on this for to be able to grip that. But really, they're probably going to be closer to the end because it's all operated by this single button here at the front. There is a removable clip on here, so if you do want to take that off, then you can do. And as far as the clip is concerned, this is a double clip, so if you want to put it into your pocket, clip it on, you can do. But if you want to clip it onto the brim of your hat maybe, then you can pass it through that way so that it's always there, and you can use it as kind of a quasi headlamp kind of thing. So I like the fact that that's on there as well. The LED that is in here, hopefully you'll be able to see that LED is sunken really far in there. The max candela on this is 65,000. The highest lumens that you can get from this is only 1,000 lumens, which, I mean, don't get me wrong, 1,000 lumens is great. You know, if someone was to shine that in your eyes, that's pretty bright. But the fact that with 1,000 lumens and a candela of 62, sorry, was it 62? Yeah, 65,000, sorry. When this is on, and it's on with its... I put the battery in the wrong way around, haven't I? I did this with another light. This is just one thing to say with this, is that when you put the battery in, the battery has to go in with the positive end first, and then you'll notice that it turned on. I really should record that bit again, but I'm going to leave this in there just as a kind of a wary sailors kind of thing, so that you can prove that I can just show that even the Moorlander is human at the end of the day. But yes, when you put it in, it's positive end first. But getting back to that candela, when this is on turbo, you can see how defined that warm spot is. So it's a little bit, I mean, I wouldn't consider this to be a thrower. However, with a higher candela using with 1,000 lumens, it certainly does throw quite well for an everyday flashlight. Now around the interface, or the single button here, hopefully you'll see on the left hand side there is a lumen level here, and then on the right hand side you have the battery level. So as they've done with a few other lights, I can tell that I'm kind of about 75% of the way. Let's turn it back off and back on again, and that at this moment in time that I am on the high setting. It's nice that that's on here. Now we will have a look at some of the other buttons, but this is one of the first ones that uses that, apart from the actual the button itself. But these are the newer versions, so it's nice to see that this has been included, which might mean the Baton Pro, the Baton Pro Max, that these will be heading that way soon as well. Now the UI on here is very similar to a lot of other UIs that you get with Olights. Very simple, in fact. So if you want to turn it on, you do a press. To turn it off, you press it again, and that will turn it off. There is a shortcut to the moonlight mode. So if you do a long press for a few seconds, you probably can't see it there because it's actually less than 1 lumen with this, and that's on your moonlight mode. You can then do a long press to low, which is 10 lumens. You do another long press to medium, which is 60 lumens, another long press to high, which is your 300 lumens. And hopefully again you can see that candela on there, just how kind of defined that warm spot is there in the middle. It's actually really nice. I think if you're trying to find things in the dark, rather than having that kind of the big spill that you get a lot with more kind of searchlights. And as I mentioned, this isn't really classed as a thrower, but because it has that nice deep flat reflector in there, it does a very good job of that. Now when it is on, if you then press it again, it will then cycle back, but it doesn't cycle back to the moonlight, it cycles back to the low, then you've got medium, then you've got high, low. If you want to access your turbo at any point whilst it's on, you then do a double press, and then that will take you up to the turbo. I can feel how nice and warm that is against my hand, and that is your 1000 lumens. There is a drop down after roughly 2.5 minutes. It will then drop down to a lower setting just to make sure that it conserves. I'll put some information about that down here as well. There is also a triple click which does your strobe, which I think is a nice little feature because I know a lot of people like those on here. Now I can't not make this content without showing you some other lights in the Baton family. So this is kind of the OG Baton, I guess you'd probably call this. This is the, well, it's just simply the Baton. Comparing the Baton to the Baton Turbo, you can see that there's a bit of a jump up in size, but not a massive jump up. The battery in this is a lot smaller. You can see that the difference between these. I think having the 18350 battery in this is nice. It can pump out more light. I think if you're after something that's just a little bit bigger than this, then the Turbo is a great option for that. After the Turbo, you then get into the larger versions. So this is the Baton Pro. Very similar, again, if you look at the diameter of the body, they are pretty much identical. In fact, I'm sure that they're identical. The difference with the Pro is it keeps the same profile all the way from the end all the way to, from the end all the way to the butt here. Whereas with the Turbo, you can see that it takes this kind of step out so that we have that really nice flat reflector in there to help it to throw it further. With all of the other Batons, these all use a TIR lens, which makes these more of a floodlight, which I know I keep mentioning. Maybe I'll change my mind on this. This is definitely a thrower compared to the others, but that is the Baton Pro. Now I mentioned on here, so with the Baton, which is just here, this is one of the most recent, followed by the Baton Turbo. So on here as well, you have these lights around the main button. The Baton Pro is older than all of these, so it's nice to see that soon this might be making its way to the Pro. Now after the Pro, you then have the Pro Max. So we have an 18350, an 18650 and a 21700. So as you can expect, you get a bump up in the life, or at least the amount of light and the length of the light that you can get out of each of these. With the Pro Max, the Turbo is still maybe 2, maybe 3 millimeters wider at the head, but down at the bottom, trying to push these together because there's magnets, you can see that the Turbo is maybe 2 millimeters shorter than this. But with the Pro Max, it keeps the same profile from the bottom all the way up to the top here. So if you were to put these together kind of ranked, it would probably sit something like that. So that's a quick comparison. If you want to see more about these three lights, I did recently make some content comparing these. I'll leave a link to that here or wherever it goes. But for now, let's fast forward some time, take this down to the lake and show you exactly what this can do. So we're down, it's definitely well past midnight, down at the little fishing lake, and we'll go through the settings on the Baton Turbo. Low mode, we're going to do moonlight mode first, so I can do a long press from off, and here is your moonlight. Now on this, moonlight it says less than 1 lumen, so it's not even 1 lumen. However, as I mentioned before, I know I kept saying it's not really a thrower, but it kind of is a thrower. With a higher candela on this, it does pretty well. I can see, which you probably can't see on camera, I can see 3 or 4 meters ahead of me. Really, it's best when here you can see my foot, you can see the wooden bits and the little jetty here. So it does a reasonably good job. Now doing a long press will then bump that up to low. Low on this is 10 lumens, putting this at a little bit more distance. So that was the 4 or 5 meters that you couldn't see before. Back onto here. If I come onto here, hopefully you'll just be able to see that tree there. That's about 10 meters away, maybe 15. We're about 20-25 on the opposite side of the lake, which you can't see from here. Now if I go from low to medium with a long press, this then jumps up to 60 lumens, so that's a lot easier to see here. So with these, bringing it back, and then again, so back there about 4 meters away, a lot easier to see. Now just up here, you might be able to hear it. There's an ornamental little waterfall that's been built, so you can now start to see that. But what I'll do is, let's bring this back out here. So you can see, oh, sorry, I've got a scratchy nose. You can see the warm spot in the middle there, and as I tend to do so that you can see the skirt on this. So 45 degrees to the left and back again, 45 degrees to the right and back again. So you can see just how defined the skirt is around this. And again, getting back to the fact that this does have a higher candela, and that flatter, deeper reflector certainly makes it easier to be able to pinpoint these things. I could then do another long press, which will then take me up to high, and this is your 300 lumens. So there's the tree next to the waterfall. I can now, if I lift this up over my head, I can see up onto the fishing lake that's up at the top as well. Getting back to these trees, you know, super easy to see up into the canopy and back again to the opposite side as well. Now at any point, no matter, well actually let's go back again. So if I do a long press, this will then take me back down to low, medium and then high. Do another long press. So at any point I can do a double press, which will then take me up to turbo, which was the 1000 lumens. Now that I didn't mean it to have that shot, but that's brilliant. Look at the reflection of the water coming up into the vegetation behind. Same here with this tree, you can see it on there. 1000 lumens does an exceptionally good job at pumping out this light. Again, so if I bring this back, move this like that, you can see just how well defined that skirt is. There is the ornamental waterfall again, and the additional pond that's up at the back there. It's great. It really does throw out a lot of light for a small light like this. I'm a huge fan of the Baton Turbo's size. I really am with this. The Baton is a great little light, but it is a little light. When it's in your pocket, it just simply disappears because it is so small. But if you're after something, or you really do like the size of this, but you want something a little bit more punch, a little bit more battery life, and you're okay with going up just a fraction in size. Now, we've had a look at the difference between this one and the Pro. I think the Turbo is a very good step between the Baton and the Baton Pro. But what it also does is, which I'm quite excited about, is it just gives you a little bit of a sneak peek into what potentially might be coming with the Baton Pro, or the Baton 4 Pro, or whatever it will be called, and the Baton 4 Pro Max. The fact that they're starting to introduce the LED lights around the front and just kind of changing, I suppose they're not really changing the UI, but they're just changing the way in which the UI can kind of communicate with you. Kind of, yeah, for a sad, weird torch kind of guy like me, it's kind of it's a nice insight into what's potentially or possibly coming down the line for a few of their other lights. Now that's pure conjecture on my part. I've not spoken to Olight about that. They've not told me. It is just a pure guess. But with them starting to use them on these on the Baton series like this, it would certainly make sense if they introduced that onto the other versions of the Batons, the Pro and the Pro Max as well. Now, full disclosure, I did put it in the little the comment at the beginning of this. So these were sent to me by Olight. Like I have with a lot of the people that send stuff to me, I have a very good relationship with them. If I didn't like this and had issues with it, you simply wouldn't be seeing this content, or I'd be able to express any of the things that I think possibly that I would potentially change about this. They do have a sale on at the moment as well. I've used the joke before that there's an R in the month, but we are coming into the Burrs months now, so it's cool that I can continue to use that dad joke. So I'll leave some links below so that you can see their sale. There's also an exclusive link in there as well that you can use, which will give you a little bit more discount as well should you choose to use those. So yeah, links below. I'll leave some of my social media links below as well so that you can see more from me here on Moorlander EDC, and also my sister channel, Moorlander Tactical. And whether you're watching this on YouTube or Rumble, as always, stay safe, stay Moorlander, and stay EDC. I should talk now, shouldn't I? Let's just check. You don't check. You get home, you realise there's no sound. You punch yourself repeatedly in the testicles and like, God damn it, Randy, why'd you do this shit? And then the kids walk in, Dad, why are you crying? Like, just punch yourself in the nuts, and you have to explain all of that. It's a nightmare when it takes 2 seconds just to check that the audio's plugged in. Yeah. Anyway. If you like the form factor of the baton and you're after just something a little bit more... It's a turbo. Why have I got Pro? Oh, because the Baton Pro. And then there's the Pro Max. You idiot. The Baton Pro and the Baton Pro Turbo. Now, if only I'd have known... No, this is the... Oh, you... Baton Pro Max. Too many batons spoil the broth. It might work. I think going from the baton to the Baton Turbo makes a lot of sense. If you're after something that's just got a little bit more hiccups, or something like that, that's what you get for drinking fizzy pop when you're out. Anyway, where were we? A lot of flies around today. It's coming to the end of the summer, isn't it? Anyway, yeah, I hope you're all good. I hope you are all good. Some kind of cool flashlight stuff coming up soon, torch stuff coming up soon, so stay tuned to see you on the same flashlight channel, same flashlight time, same flashlight place. I can't remember where the Batman thing went, but you know the deal if you're old enough. Anyway, cool. See you in a bit. I'm just staring at the camera now. Honestly, you can go now.